Hello there, everybody, and welcome to Things We Said Today, our weekly podcast/internet radio show in which we take a look at all things related to the Beatles, both in their history and what's happening today and what will be happening in the future, some including the very near future. First, though, I'm Al Sussman from Beatle Fan Magazine, and I'm here with my three co-hosts. First of all, the host of the syndicated Beatles radio show, Every Little Thing, Ken Michaels. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Al. How's everyone doing?
Good, Ken. And up in scenic Portland, Maine, our resident musicologist, longtime contributor to Beatle Fan Magazine, longtime classical music composer. Well, maybe you are a composer. I don't know. Have you ever written anything, Alan?
I have been known to do that, yeah.
Okay. All right. Composer and writer, Alan Kozin.
Hey, Al. How you doing? And hello, everyone.
Good. And last but certainly not least, out in the Bay Area, the reporter for Beatles Examiner and various other Examiner.com columns, Steve Marinucci. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Al. Hello, everyone.
And as I mentioned, we're going to be taking a look today at something that will be happening in the very near future, and that's when this show debuts, it'll be almost exactly 2 weeks before the start of the next Fest for Beatles fans in the New York metro area. And with us we have the man who began all of this those many years ago. Math has never been my forte, so I think it's 42 years, and that would be Mark Lapidos.
Good evening, Al. How are you?
Good evening, Mark. How you doing?
Good. Hello, Alan. Hello, Ken. And hello, Steve.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Thanks for having me on. Good to be here.
You're most welcome. It's our pleasure.
Certainly a thrill. So.
It's certainly a thrill. And a splendid time is guaranteed for all.
Bada boom.
Right. Exactly. Why don't you give us a rundown of what the plans are for this next New York area Fest for Beatles fans?
Well, it's only, as you said, 2 weeks away, and I'm saying, oh my gosh, do I have a lot of stuff to still do? Michelle came out today helping. Carol's finishing up the design, and it's just a lot of stuff to get ready. Multiples of details. So we have a really great. I think it's our second best lineup of guests. The best one was the New York City show in 2014. We have 4 British Invasion legends, 5 people but 4 artists. We have Peter Asher, of course, from Peter and Gordon. He's always a wonderful guest. He's got great stories, and he has these memoir shows that have been very successful, and he's doing a new one with Chad and Jeremy. And as he said in a little promo that he did for us, he said that he wants to do this once and for all to prove beyond a doubt that there were really 2 separate and Chad and Jeremy. So that they're going to do a show together, a 2-part memoir show, Saturday part 1 and Sunday part 2. The weekend of April 15th, folks, that's only 2 weeks away. And we have Billy J. Kramer coming back. He'll be doing some new songs with his band, including Liberty DeVito on drums. And that's on Saturday. He'll be there the whole weekend. He's also world premiering his new book, his autobiography, called Do You Want to Know a Secret? I had a chance to look at it a little bit, but not too much because I got to get ready for the show.
Sure.
But he's got a really great memory. He's become a good friend over the last couple of years, and he just tells it like it is. He's really he has a good way of telling a story, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest of it.
Absolutely.
We had him on here a couple of weeks ago, and he I have the book, and I can vouch for what you just said, Mark. It is very much a very straightforward book. There's a lot of information in the book.
Well, the book will be available for the first time anywhere on the planet at the fest, and he'll be signing copies. So if you come, make sure you pick up a copy because it's one of those rare books. He was there. How many people were actually there in Liverpool at that time writing books?
Mm-hmm. And it has some great pictures in it too.
Yes, it did. It does. I had to wallow down my dinner very quickly before this.
That's okay.
Me too.
So we also have, at the end of his set on Saturday, he's going to bring on our other musical British Invasion legend, Mike Pender, a founding member of the Searchers. And they had lots of hits. And I know you guys, I figured this out, and I hadn't mentioned it, but those 4 British Invasion artists had, I didn't count them out totally, they had about 30 top 40 hits in this country as those groups. That sounded about right to me. And that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lot.
Yeah, so they're going to be there. And then at night, so Mike is going to do some Beatles songs with Billy at the end of his afternoon set. At night, his hits with Liverpool. So he'll be on twice, and that's a lot of live music, and we're excited about it.
And that just scratches the surface because there's going to be a lot of other live music besides those headliners.
Yes, and as co-headliners we have the Birds of Paradox. They've been with us the last 3 years, and this guy Jeff Slade is a terrific guy. He just told me yesterday he's going to be premiering his album, new CD that they have at the fest. I didn't give me the title yet. I guess they're still figuring it out. But in his group will be Steve Holley from Wings, Gary Van Syok and Adam Ippolito from John's Elephant Memory Band, and Ron Aprea, who played horn on Whatever Gets You Through the Night, and John Cobert, who's never been to the fest before at all, will be playing keyboards. He'll do Stand By Me, and he did it with John on the rock and roll album. So we have some artists. So we're going to do a unique thing that I came up with. I think early on Saturday afternoon. It's called In the Studio with a Beatle or Two. Mm-hmm. And besides the guys I just mentioned, Mark Rivera and Mark Hudson will be joining them. So it's going to be one of those really wonderful sessions that seem to only happen at the fest. We bring a lot of these people. And I'm looking forward to hearing that. And then right after that, then the Birds of Paradox go on. So a lot of the same musicians will be there. So more live music than ever before. Seems that that's what fans want. And my girls had came up with the idea of an Apple Jam stage a couple of years ago, and that's been a big hit. We have some groups returning. We have the School of Rock from Westchester. Local Cellophane Flowers, who really got a standing ovation last year. A string quartet and a guitar-playing Paul voice doing all the songs that you'd think would need a string quartet, like Eleanor Rigby, Here Today, a thing called Yesterday. And things. So they're going to do a set. We're going to give them a set in the main ballroom because it really went over great last year.
I was going to say, perhaps you should explain to people who may not be all that much aware of who they are, what School of Rock is.
Oh, okay. School of Rock is a national organization, and their goal is to get kids in various parts of the country. They were all over the country now, interested in music. So they set up a school. It's like going to play soccer after school, but it's the School of Rock. And we almost had, last year would have happened, but the people from Montclair couldn't make it up to New Jersey.
Right.
Switched hotels. Parents said, I'm not traveling up there. So that didn't happen. But now it's a Westchester. We had it in Chicago last summer. And it was terrific. It really was nice. Young fans, passing the music on to the next generation is sort of our job,
Mm-hmm. So when you say getting them interested in music, you mean in playing music, not just listening to music, right?
Yes, yeah. They're probably all music lovers at that age. Mm-hmm. So it's like the parents say, "Hey, well, you want to, play rock and roll and then pick up an instrument," and that's where they get it. And my cousin's kids in Florida, the 12-year-old, he plays guitar, and we went to see him in Florida this winter. It was like an outdoor little club behind a little old rundown building, but that's what they set up as a little stage. And there was a tribute to the drummer, what's his name? The current drummer that everybody knows, with the beard, long hair.
Dave
from
Grohl?
Nirvana. Thank you. Yeah, it was a tribute to Dave Grohl. The name, it didn't stay in my brain. I know him, but I couldn't think of it. But yeah, so they did songs from his current group, which is Alan?
Foo Fighters?
Yeah.
Foo Fighters.
Sorry.
Right. So
I just played Alan for a moment there.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, these albums do not make my turntable too often or my CD player. But he is very talented, and we know that he's a huge Beatles fan.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. So
And, of course, having worked with Paul, too.
Sure.
yes. So he's on my list as future guest.
Okay.
At some
That would
point.
be interesting.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting.
It would be very, very interesting. It'd be nice to, a young artist that young people know the current music and find out that he's such a big Beatles fan. So other guests we haven't had Louise Harrison in, I think, 17 years, and she's written a book called My Kid Brother's Band, a.k.a. The Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I haven't read it. I just got it like 3 weeks ago, believe it or not. We had her in Chicago, and I never got a copy of the book. But haven't read it yet, to be honest. I looked at it, skimmed through a little bit, and she had the longest lines in Chicago. I tell you that much. She sold out of the book, and she's 84 years old. She's very sweet in her own way, and she's bringing her grandson Troy, who is a absolute ringer for his uncle George.
Oh my!
So,
Oh my!
Yes, I haven't publicized it, but he's coming, and I've never met him, and I look forward to. He talks like him. She said he looks like him.
How old is he?
24. No, 25.
Oh my!
Yeah.
So you've seen photos of him?
You know what? I haven't. It's probably on Facebook, but I don't do Facebook too much. So.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Okay.
Who else do we have? Isn't that enough? We have a guy that nobody knows who he is. Charlie Roberts. You only know him because you got my mailing and it says who he was.
Right.
He took a picture of the Quarrymen with John about a week or two before the day John met Paul. So like late June of 57. And he's made a poster out of it, limited edition, and he's coming over to talk about it. He's sounds like a sweet guy. I don't know how big a story it could be. Hi, I took this picture of my brownie when I was 5 weeks old. And it came out, and I didn't think anything of it. I totally forgot that I took it. And here I am 59 years later.
Well, maybe he'll surprise you and say, and I also have these tapes.
Right.
Right.
That would be the biggie right there.
Right. On his portable cassette player.
Yeah.
His portable Wallen sack.
Right.
So, he'll be an interesting person. Vivek, of course, Vivek Tiwari is going to talk. It's been announced in the last few weeks, as you know, that the Brian Epstein story is going to be a TV series.
Right.
Which is very exciting because he told me that it'll make it, they don't have to rush through the story to get it into an hour and a half. They can develop it and put more into it.
That's great.
So he's very excited about that. And who else? We have Al Sussman. We have Ken Michaels. Hey, those are you guys. You're coming to the fest.
Yes.
It says it right here. I'm reading this schedule, which will be made live.
Schedule.
All the calls besides Mark. When are you mailing out the tickets? Oh, I mean April 1st, like we told everybody originally? Yes, April 1st. When are you going to post the information? On next Friday, April 8th, it will be the day that you'll be able to see the entire schedule. Did I mention Steve Holly?
Nope.
Yes, you did.
Steve is in Jeff Slate's band in
Yes.
Birds of Paradox.
Steve is also going to be helping out with Liverpool because Chris had a little accident over the winter. He's recovered, but he'll be there the whole time. But whether he can drum for 3.5 hours at a time, he doesn't think he will be. But he'll drum the Liverpool set and maybe Steve will come in and do when all the guests come on and do the jam. Maybe the Friday night dance Steve will work on. So they're working it out now, and as we get closer, they'll figure it out. But Liverpool will be there. These guys get better every year. It really is amazing to me. I mean, so many groups out there, but these guys just are wonderful. So if you haven't been to the fest, how come? You're listening to this wonderful radio podcast. Leave out the word radio. The word podcast, internet, whatever it is we're doing, and you found us. You got to come to the fest. I'm sorry. It's 42 years we're doing this. So you may have heard about the fest over the years, but I am the guy who went to John Lennon with the idea, told him all about it, told the whole story in 2014 on stage, which I really enjoyed doing. And John said, quote, I'm all for it. I'm a Beatles fan too. And here we are 42 years later. That's roughly about 6 times longer than they were together as a band, as we almost. And I used to be amazed me that it was twice as long, and then 3 times. This is getting crazy, guys. 42 years.
Well, the fascination in the Beatles never ends.
Never
for what
ends.
they did together, and then the continued success on their own. So there's always so much out there to explore, and thankfully, as you have witnessed, Mark, so many new fans that you pick up through the years. A lot of teenagers that come to the fest. And that's why the music keeps surviving, because it keeps on winning new audiences.
Well, the kids find out about it through their parents and grandparents and they say, "Hey, this stuff is so much better than what I'm listening to. Where'd that come from? I've heard the Beatles. Oh, this is their music. Wow!" And I still jealous of these young fans because they get to listen to. They can open up an album and listen to it, and it's brand new to them. We'll never have that again. So
Mark, one of the interesting things you have is, I think it's who is playing all of Revolver. It wasn't Liverpool, was it? Was it Liverpool? Yeah.
Liverpool, yeah.
Have they done a full album like that before for you?
Yes, they have. They've done the White Album complete. I believe they did Revolver maybe 8 years ago. I know they did Pepper. What else did they do?
One year when I was at the fest, they did all of Help.
Yes, that was last year for the 50th anniversary, right? And then for You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, Mark Rivera came on and did that flute. It was just special, very nice. It was wonderful. Yeah, Revolver, but they're bringing in a musician for Love You Too. They're bringing a musician for that, which we'll see on the how it goes. It's going to be exciting. And so side one on I told them to do the English version.
Of course. Mono or stereo.
If it was Rubber Soul, I would tell them to do the American version. But Revolver, we got robbed.
Yeah.
We got robbed of ever thinking of that. It was the best album because it's so ingrained, the 11 tracks. Yeah. Without the other thing, well, where's John? How come George has more songs than John?
Yeah.
So they are doing Revolver this year because Revolver's now getting so much sort of belated attention, and as some people feeling that it's the best of the albums, whereas until now, pretty much everyone has thought it was Pepper.
Well, we're doing it because it's the 50th anniversary.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's it. And Robert Rodriguez's book a couple of years back was really terrific. He made a good case out of it.
He did.
And, but again, we didn't have that album. We had Revolver -3, so we couldn't. Those 3 songs weren't chopped liver.
Unless we bought imports.
Well, we didn't. In '66, we didn't buy imports. There weren't record stores that sold imports, except if you were in the city. Well, and Jersey kids didn't go to the city to buy records.
Yeah, right.
Al, did you ever go to New York City to buy records as a teenager?
Not as a teenager, no. But
no,
when I was in my 20s, sure.
Right. Well, if they didn't have it at Sam Goody or Corvettes or Alexander's, that was it. Or Hackensack.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Well, I did, and it really was a trip. You pick up Revolver out of an import bin, and you say, "What the hell?"
Right, but we didn't. I was up in the Catskills. I bought it in Monticello, for God's sakes.
Monticello.
I don't even think I got it the day it came out because I didn't even get the information about what day it came out up there. You don't get that kind of stuff when you have access.
It's sad.
So, Mark, do I take this to mean that you personally, Mark, think that Revolver is their best album?
No. Me personally,
yeah.
It depends on what day of the week it is. You know, if I had to pick one album to take with me to a desert island, as the proverbial thing goes, I'd probably pick the White Album. 30 songs, 29 songs. You know, I don't know.
I would take the 2009 boxed set of the CD remasters. Hey, it's what I do.
I don't know. It's really tough. It's a very tough question because, you know, like Tom Frangione was trying to say, fans can pick their top 10 Beatles songs, although it's difficult. But can you pick the bottom 10? Who can pick 10? They're all great songs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he said Wild Honey Pie. Okay, I'll give you that one. Leave out Revolution 9. But
that means a lot. That means a lot.
No, I like
that's
that.
That's great.
But I mean, we're talking about the releases from 62 to 70.
Right. The canon, basically.
The canon.
Exactly. I get a single album. The reason White Album because it was two records and more music. I don't know. It's too tough a question. Part of me would say Abbey Road. A good part of me would say Abbey Road. And a good part of me would also say Rubber Soul and Revolver. And with
it can change. It can change from year to year too.
It can. How can I not listen? I Want to Hold Your Hand and All My Loving, and Don't Bother Me. You know. But you know, it's. I hope I don't have to choose one album. But I do have one song. It's easy to pick a favorite song. People do that all the time.
And what's that?
Al, tell them what's my favorite song. Come on, Al. You know me for 46 years.
I think it's Hey Jude.
It is Hey Jude.
Yes.
All right.
Why is that not surprising, considering you end every fest with that?
Yeah. But it just, to me, it was like an album. It really was. I listened to it. I've told the story before. I was a senior in college. If the record was on, if the radio had it playing, which on ABC was 7 minutes after the hour, every single hour around the clock, number one song for 9 weeks or something, and I wouldn't turn it off until the song. I wouldn't go into my class till the song ended. So I would just sit in the car. It was a.
How'd you like the One Plus remix, Mark?
The One Plus remix, I cried. The video, the other version of it, the way they fixed it up, I've never heard such a great performance of any song ever.
Well, I was talking about the audio, with what Giles did with the audio on that. But yeah, I mean, it was great to see the videos finally.
Well, they fixed up the audio on the video of it.
Right.
The version that hadn't been played before. But I mean, the vocal performance of Paul was just off the wall. It was just off the charts. And then they did. You find out that they actually recorded the live Revolution the same day.
Right.
Right. And that performance is out of this planet. It's like unbelievable. Those versions, and there it is on one single. 145 comes out in August of 68, and it just, to me, it was like an album. It was like a whole album. It had so much in it, and every time I heard it, I heard different things, and the screaming and the build up of it. It's just it's like the top of the heap of all time to me. Even if it's only number 2 in the charts every year behind Stairway to Heaven, to me, Hey Jude is the Mount Everest of music.
Well put. I would kind of agree. That's my favorite Beatles song too. And it's real tough to pick what's the best Beatles single, because I know a lot of fans will probably vote for Penny Lane, Strawberry Fields Forever. But Hey Jude and Revolution, I tell you, it's either one or two.
Yeah, right. I mean, Strawberry Fields was my favorite Beatles song for at least 8 months. Then the B-side of our next single, a few down the road, the B-side of Hello Goodbye. Whoa, what is this?
Yeah. I think it will be harder to say what is their worst single than what is their worst track, an album track, because the singles were uniformly incredible.
Exactly.
If you look at any of them, I mean, we're focusing on the late ones with Strawberry Fields and Hey Jude and Revolution, but I mean, you go all the way back. I mean, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and either This Boy or I Saw Her Standing There, whichever one you want. I mean, that's an incredible single. From Me to You, Thank You Girl's an incredible single. They're all just really perfect.
She Loves You, I'll Get You.
Yeah.
Don't drop out.
That's right. And don't stay outside class listening to songs when you should be going in.
There's one other thing that amazes me in terms of timing, which was in, I guess it was probably, I'm sure it was in the Recessions book, but it didn't really stick to me until recently, a couple of years ago. Help, Yesterday and I'm Down. Paul's greatest melody, greatest song, and Paul's greatest rock and roll song. He recorded the same day.
Yeah.
How does that
Actually, that was I've Just Seen a Face with I'm Down and Yesterday.
Oh, that third song, okay.
Yeah.
That wasn't too shabby either.
Yeah.
But Yesterday, recorded by more people than any other song ever, and I'm Down was only a B-side of a single. It wasn't even an A-side.
And think about how different Paul's vocals were going from Yesterday to I'm Down.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And the same day. You do 3 songs in a day, and then it's mind-boggling. So,
right.
But he's Paul McCartney. And he did it, and he did with Hey Jude and Revolution on the live versions. And we get to hear him now cleaned up, and it that was the best track on the new Beatles one.
Now, given, as Ken constantly reminds us, that there's 46 years of solo releases, of post-Beatles releases, of that massive amount of material, what would be the one album that you would take to a desert island?
One album of each Beatle, of course. Don't make me pick one of just one.
Okay.
I have a theory about this. I'll tell you that in a second, but here's a theory. Again, I was talking to Tom over lunch a few weeks ago.
Right.
Tom works around the corner from me in Jersey.
Right.
And we miss you, Al, at our luncheons that we.
I miss having them.
So he in the fall he was making a case that Tug of War was Paul's best solo album.
We know he feels that way.
Yes.
As he has expressed
no
it.
About it. Now, it's very legitimate. But here's a theory. He's a youngster. He's 10 years old, at least 10 years younger than all of us. No, but Ken, you may be.
No.
He's in Ken's neighborhood, age-wise.
So
I think Tom is like 2 or 3 years younger than me.
Okay, so you guys are in the same age bracket, but Alan, I'm assuming you're closer to age to me and Al.
Yep.
Okay, so our prime when we were late teens and early 20s, that happened in the mid 60s, late 60s, and early 70s. So when 82 comes around, we were already adults, quote unquote. So the music that we got as in that age bracket, so like 80, 70, 71, and 72, like the greatest albums. I was trying to pick my favorite albums of all time, and they're all in there. Obviously every Beatles album, but James Taylor and Cat Stevens and Elton John's first album, Neil Young. They're like all at the same time frame because that, and not that I don't love the albums any less, but I don't think I can name half the songs on Press to Play. I can't remember the last time I heard it.
I can name all of them right now.
Right, I know, but I'm saying
backwards.
There's too much music out there that and my brain in 1986, approaching 40, is not the same brain that listened to music at 72 and 71, where the time was where I could just put a record on and listen to it for 10 days at a time. All right?
Well, this is a conversation I like having with a lot of people, but it just goes along with this theory that I have, and I'm sure some listeners might disagree with this, but I personally think that the music that you hear when you're a kid, teenagers and 20s, is the music that no matter what will have the greatest impact on your life.
That's what I agree with you. That's exactly
but what if it's Wonderful Christmas Time?
We have this big disagreement here with Wonderful Christmas Time here, Mark, which I happen to think is a great Christmas song.
What do you think, Mark?
And the other three don't feel that way.
I love it. I love that song. It's really cute.
Okay, that's two.
But again, I love just about every song they've recorded, pretty much. I mean, I love the solo albums. Again, not as much of the albums. I mean, people still, you ask me my favorite albums, solo. Mm-hmm. It's got to be All Things Must Pass, even though Living in the Material World was really close second to me. And the Brainwashed album is just a class. It's a gem of an album. Mm-hmm. You know, take out 33 and a third, which was fabulous. But I'm just saying that in my 50s when that came out, it's an amazing album. Maybe it was because it was the last album, but the music on that is just incredible. So George had it right to the end. Mm-hmm. Solo, John, I'd have to go with Imagine because pretty much my favorite song of John's is not Imagine, although it's overall my favorite song of John's with that message. But Give Me Some Truth, I think, is a better song for me. Mm-hmm. Just the fact that George is on it. And isn't Ringo on it too? Playing drums, the three of them?
No.
Which song is three of them on?
None of them are. There's no three of them on Imagine. It was only John and George. The only other Beatle on there is George on the Imagine album, and Ringo was on Plastic Ono Band album.
Yeah, so there wasn't. I thought there was one track that three of them were on it.
I'm the Greatest.
Well, I mean, of John's. I thought.
There was never one with three.
Okay, I bow to your. I'm surprised you know that, but I've just always thought that. But yeah, Give Me Some Truth to me is also a very strong message. It didn't get out there like Imagine did, but it's just an amazing song. I just love it. My favorite Paul's album. Boy, is that tough. That is really, 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 really tough. And it comes down to Ram, probably because it came out when I was 23. It's just a great cover to cover. There's not a throwaway there. It's just great album. Band on the Run is terrific. Venus and Mars, I love. I think it's a fabulous album, and I do love Tug of War. I think that's a good one, and I think in his later years, every other album is really fantastic. Chaos and Creation, Flowers in the Dirt first, and Chaos and Creation later on, and in between was Flaming
Pie.
Yeah, they're all great albums.
Flowers in the Dirt.
Yes, I said Flowers in the Dirt, and then Flaming Pie. So you skip off the ground. Again, by anybody else's comparison, it's a great album, but it's just doesn't have the consistency of the other albums that I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. And I still listen to them quite regularly. But Tom makes a good case because Wanderlust is really a classic song. You know? It's really a great song. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like hearing what a lot of fans have to say, especially when I talk to them about the solo stuff, because when it comes to Paul's, they usually tend to, after the 70s, they'll pick Tug of War, Flowers in the Dirt, Flaming Pie, the ones you mentioned, Chaos and Creation, The Backyard. Those are the ones they tend to highlight the most.
Because I think they're better albums. I think there's a reason for it. They just when Paul recorded those, he was just in a better mood and came out with better songs. You can't hit a home run every time. Even Paul misses a few. Mm-hmm. Occasionally. Rare occasionally. But in Ringo, it's between the Ringo album and Ringo Rama. Ringo Rama's a great album. Thank you, Mark.
Oh, wow. Very interesting how you pick Ringo Rama there. I mean, a lot of the stuff that he did with Mark Hudson was great.
No, I said the Ringo album, the 73 album.
Right, sure.
And Ringo Rama. Those I think were the two best.
Yeah. That's what I was mentioning. It's just interesting that you mentioned Ringo Rama in addition to Ringo, because I love that album too.
Yeah, I haven't listened to it in a while. I gotta put that. I gotta put the music on my computer in the office so I can listen to it. I'm really lax at that. Mm-hmm. I have like 50 instead of 1,000. I have all these CDs at home and I don't do all that I should.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when you mentioned how much you love Ram. If I'm remembering correctly, and it's been a long time, didn't you attend a session for Ram, at least an overdub session that was held in New York?
No.
You didn't? Okay.
No. I would have loved to, but we've since met people and had people as guests who were there, like Danny Sywell.
Sure.
Former Wings member. No, I wasn't at a session there, no.
Ah, okay.
I think I was we were doing mixing, I guess, of something, and the Beach Boys and all the Saturday Night Live crew, the original members, popped in. I remember Carl Wilson was there, and Mike Love, and Belushi, Gilda. I don't know what it was. It was late at night on 8th Avenue and 44th Street, one of those places, one of those studios. Cal and I were there, and it was.
What year was that?
Oh, I gotta guess late 70s.
Late 70s, yeah.
Wow. It had to be before 82, by 82, but it was late 70s. I can't remember when I do finally write my book. Who laughed harder? Who was that? Who gave me that laugh?
I think that was Al. I'm going to say that was Al.
I want names.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been. I started writing this 20 years ago, and I got like 4 pages done, but it will be done, hopefully. No, I don't remember what we were there for. We were looking at something. It couldn't have been Welcome to Pepperland because that was 74. But I don't remember. But here's a story. I remember this one when I lived in River Edge. So it was 70. This was 78.
Mm-hmm.
I get a message. I wish I would have saved it. Hi, this is Eric Idle from Ruddlefest, calling to invite you to a private screening of a new TV show coming out. It was in Times Square, and we get to this room to watch All You Need Is Cash. It was me and Carol and Eric Idle and Derek Taylor and 1 or 2 other people, and that was it.
Wow.
It was amazing. And after it was over, Derek Taylor said to Eric, why don't you look out the window? Because the window you could see actual Times Square where the ball comes down, and there was a big screen there. And at that very moment, the Ruddles are coming, the Ruddles are coming. And Eric went nuts.
Yeah.
But that was a nice thing, watching it on. It was just on a TV. It was a little room. It was a tiny little screening room. And Derek arranged all that, which was...
Did you talk much to Eric Idle?
Sure. Well, we're not doing the movie, but yeah, we were talking before and afterwards. Absolutely. I wish he would have come down as a guest. We can still have him as a guest. But
he would be fantastic.
I know. But we've had the Ruddles reunion without him. But he wasn't part of the musical part of it. Mm-hmm. So we've had Eric. We've had Neil, who was one of my favorite guests. Neil Linus was always a wonderful guest with great stories.
Now, when you think about not only the Ruddles, but how close Eric was to George Harrison and the stories that he could tell, geez, he'd be an amazing guest.
Well, right, but so was Neil Innes. He had stories. He was the baby in Cracker Box Palace, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The war. So, questions? Any other questions?
Yeah. You recently did a blog post shortly after the passing of George Martin, and maybe you can give us a little, like a capsule version of your thoughts on George Martin.
I forgot what I wrote, but it just came right out of me. Sometimes I do that. I don't think. He was very special. And that one meeting I had with him, it was an arranged meeting at a hotel room in L.A., and so it had to be in the early 80s. And it's just a charming man. He was just so sweet. And, it was at least 30 or 45 minutes, and we talked about a lot of things. And the last thing I asked him, I said, can I ask you a trivia question? He said, okay. I said, can I ask you one trivia question? He said, yes. I asked him about the Penny Lane, the horn at the end.
Ah, yes.
And he said, Capitol wanted the record. We didn't want to give it to him. We gave it to him. We sent it to them. And then I guess we must have finished it and sent them a different one. we didn't know. He like he had almost didn't really know. I can't believe he wouldn't have known, being such a perfectionist. But it was like no one had mentioned to him at all. It was only 15 years from 67 to 82. It wasn't like 40 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But he was just, it was just here's that great mystery. How did the test pressings have it? The samples. How did it, once it got out to the radio stations, how did they get it with the horn? And why it wasn't on the final version? I don't know. We just did it. It was like part of Beatle lore, but to him, it was just, all right, on to the next. We're doing an album. We're doing a big album here. Leave me alone. Let me concentrate on this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So. I guess of the inner circle, I guess George Martin and Neil Aspinall, I guess, are probably the only ones that you've never had as a guest at the fest.
You're right. Yeah. Well, and I feel so lucky to. I've met every single person involved with the Beatles story except Brian.
Right.
It just it's like, and I get, as a fan, I'm very excited to meet all of them, and I think I'm guessing after Neil was left Apple, we'll say, he was going to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure had he lived, he would have been a guest because he wasn't so shy. Derek Taylor wasn't a guest, although we did an hour exclusive interview in 76. Well, 87.
87, right.
87 in Philadelphia.
Right.
But we had nice long conversations in England a couple of times. We really had good conversations. It was thrilling.
Wow. I just want to ask a couple of questions here. Did you ever try to get George Martin for the fest?
Yes.
And I'm sure it was kind of difficult.
Well, obviously it was impossible. Didn't happen. I asked him at that meeting. I invited him. He said maybe for the 50th. That's what he said. So but he didn't come. He didn't. He was losing his hearing, so he wasn't doing that much public appearing. And I don't know. Yeah, I really wish I could have gotten him as a guest. He's the one guest that I really would have liked to have gotten. But it just wasn't his thing. He's a different kind of comes from a different world, and the worlds collided, and he just didn't feel like he did his own shows for a while, which I went to, saw him a couple of times, got to see him again a few times, to meet him again, but I guess standing in front of an audience of Beatles fans when he was still doing current recordings is not what he wanted to do.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, of all the people that you wished had been at the fest, besides the obvious four, who would it have been? So.
Yeah, that certainly George Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've had almost everybody else, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because I think a lot of people don't remember because it was only the second Beatle Fest, but you had Mal Evans.
We had Mal Evans. I was trying to think of how I got him. I remember, the only thing I remember meeting him in a hotel room in New York City, set up by some girl who knew him. Can't remember who she was at all, but she contacted me and said, "You want to have Mal Evans?" Mal Evans paid me the biggest compliment I ever had in my entire life. I've told you this 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew him. You had to be a hardcore fan to know the name, but nobody knew him. Nobody ever got to see him.
Sure.
He was just in the background. He was a loyal Beatle person. And he was lining up all around the building for him to autograph and people thanking him for coming. I was watching Magic and Mystery Tour with him, and he's sitting there telling me all the things that were going on behind the scenes while I'm watching the movie. I wish I would have taped that conversation because I only remember a few. But at the end of the weekend, he said, "Mark, I thank you for having me here. This was the greatest weekend of my life." And when I think that how many weekends of mine I would have traded for one of his, it was just a great moment. And I spoke to him in late December of 75, and he was writing the book. He said, "I'm almost finished with it, and I want to do your shows. I just love what you're doing. I want to be part of it." And obviously, a few weeks later,
Yeah.
But he just just loved it. He just, he was never the center of attention. And here he was, talking about the boys he loved the most.
Mm. What do you remember most about when you had Billy Preston there?
The last time we had Billy was also one of the top 3 or 4 moments in Fest history. He was sick. He was very sick. He was dying.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What was it, 2005?
I think 2005, yeah, because he passed the next year.
Right. And I went up to see him in his room about an hour before he was supposed to go on. He's still in bed. Joyce, his agent, was taking care of him. And he comes downstairs. He gets to the back of the stage sitting. He was going to do a show with his band, an afternoon concert. And he's sitting next to my brother-in-law, Paul, who's a doctor. And Paul told me later that he looked like he was really dying. He could hardly get up the 3 steps when they introduced him. But they introduced him, and he got up to the 3rd step. He leapt on the stage, hustled over to the piano, sat down, and played for 40 minutes, and the place was speechless.
Mm-hmm.
The whole audience was cheering and screaming like I've never seen before at any fest. And Carol and I walked him because he really wasn't strong enough to walk on his own, but he was drained after that. We're walking, he's holding on to both of us, and fans are coming up to him. He was going over we're taken to the table. He was going to sign autographs.
Mm-hmm.
And people coming up to him said, Billy, that was the most amazing thing you ever saw. And they were just falling at his feet. It was like incredible. I never saw anybody say that at the fest. I mean, it was just something in that moment, a spark that lifted him from being close to death to doing that performance. And the next day he collapsed in the lobby. And one of our attendees is a practitioner or something, or EMT. Mm-hmm. He had failing kidneys. He could have died right there on the lobby. They took him to the hospital, half a mile away, and they put him on dialysis, and that's what he died of. They eventually never got a kidney.
Now, Mark, I remember him playing in Los Angeles, and that must have been a couple of years before that because he was fantastic. And He didn't show any signs of being ill at that show. As a matter of fact, somewhere in my archives, I have a picture of me standing next to him in the elevator because we happened to be on the same elevator. And I got him, I believe it or not, I got him to sign a copy of Get Back, the bootleg.
Ooh. Not the single? You couldn't bring the single with you?
Oh no! I have. This is the CD. This is the Beatles. This is the Almost Let It Be album that he signed. And but I remember that show.
Not long before he passed away, I saw Billy Preston in concert at Mohegan Sun because he was part of one of Bowser's shows, and I saw him after the show, and he looked kind of tired, and it might have been the last show he ever did. It certainly is one of the last. So
he did a bunch of shows. I don't know if he was headlining the shows, but he did shows because I guess he was contracted for them.
Mm.
Did you see Ringo's first tour? We had to go to Atlantic City to see him outside.
Yep.
I was there.
And Billy, he's on the left side of the stage playing the organ. And he sees me and Carol. I was in the middle of the concert. Hey, he waves to us. How you doing? That was very exciting.
He was tremendous when the show that I saw in Los Angeles. He played with Liverpool, and he was just absolutely awesome. He really was. When he was good, he was very, very good. Let's put it that way.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he was a child prodigy. After he died, they showed that piece of the film with Ray Charles.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
With Bob Hope, and that wasn't Bob.
Nat King Cole.
Nat King
Cole.
Right.
The W.C. Handy story.
Yeah.
Mark?
Yes.
When I saw a concert for Bangladesh at a press screening in San Francisco at this, I can't remember which theater it was, but it was a big theater in San Francisco, and it was a advanced screening because the Jefferson Airplane were there, and there were a lot of people there, and I swear to God, after he did That's the Way God Planned It, the whole place erupted. It he got the best applause of anybody for that. And that was, I will never forget that. That was amazing.
At the show itself, I was there.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
It was amazing. It was incredible. I thought that when Dylan came out, Dylan got a much as of applause, but the crowd wasn't riled up already. He just walked out.
Mm-hmm.
That's when George walked out. People went nuts too. But musically, he was a non-Beatle song. Billy Preston was it, and then Leon Russell broke the place up also.
Yeah.
Alan, you were there too, right?
Yep, sure was.
Oh, did you have a seat in the first 26? In the first 26 rows?
Nope, nowhere near. And I went to the evening show.
I was at the afternoon show, so I got to see the I forgot the name of the song that he did.
He did "Hear Me, Lord"
Hear Me
in the first show.
Yes, right. He didn't do it in the second one, and I don't know why they didn't put it out when they did the set. I was disappointed, and I was looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But Alan Klein bought the first 26 rows out. Completely. I sat in the second row after that.
Wow.
And I had to take the red eye the night before because I was on vacation for 3 weeks with my friend in California, and I flew back from San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Steve, to get my friend on the East Coast had bought me a ticket. So I went right there, an afternoon concert. And I remember walking out of that concert. It was teeming rain, and nobody knew it. It made no difference to anybody walking there. It was like, we got to get out of this rain. We were so high on that show we had just seen that nothing could, even buckets of rain. A Dylan song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't dry us up. It was just an amazing show. And I've always said that was the greatest concert I've ever seen until Paul played Yankee Stadium.
And
that's a few years ago.
Yeah. Maybe because all four of us went together the girls have seen Paul with us a number of times, but maybe it has something to do with Yankee Stadium, me being a Yankee fan since the cradle, born in the Bronx.
Oh, right.
So maybe it's the place. But it was just really exciting, and it shows that who does a show like Paul McCartney? Nobody. There's nobody could do that. There's not even a close second out there, and yet he keeps going. Like it's incredible. It's uplifting to be around in this time when he's still doing this. It's just wonderful. So it was the concert for Bangladesh lasted almost 40 years in my mind. It's the greatest one. And but yeah, it was so memorable.
All righty. Well, this has been fabulous. This happened the last time you were here. It's the same thing. We figured you might be on for a half hour or so, and then we'd have to fill it up with other stuff. And
There's no
we
film in the Beatle world.
Really, and
well.
And I think we barely scratched the surface of not only your memories, but also what's going to be at the fest and all.
And when you get 5 Beatle nerds together talking, it's just, how can you stop? It can do this all forever.
Yeah, this is very true.
So for those of you who maybe not have been to a fest,
yes,
come on down. You'll have the greatest time. We have talks. We have lectures. Alda heads them. Ken heads them. It's just the authors who have these new stories and come up with new information, and you could talk about little topics. And we have this new thing the girls thought of called the Fabratory, that you can dissect a specific song for a half hour, or it's just new stuff, and it's just a lot of enjoyable Beatles stuff all weekend long, and you get away from the rest of the world, and it's like, that's why people come. It's like family. As Ken Dashow said, it's like Thanksgiving without the arguments.
Yep. And the dates are?
The dates are April 15th, Tax Day, April 16th, and April 17th at the Hilton Westchester Hotel. If you want to get rooms coming from out of state, sorry, it's sold out, but we do have an overflow hotel. You can go to thefest.com and look up all the information, all the details about the show. The tickets are on sale now. and it's free parking. It's easy to get to from Manhattan. From New York City, you take the Grand Central Station, Metro North line to Rybrook. Hotel picks you up for free there, and you're there in 40 minutes. It's really very close. All my Jersey friends who think that the Hudson River is really the Pacific Ocean, it's only 12 minutes from the Tappan Zee Bridge. It's not that far, folks. I live in New Jersey. It's closer to me than the Hilton in Meadowlands was by 5 minutes. So
right.
For once a year show, take that trek over the bridge. You'll be happy.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
Please.
Well, since Mark was just talking about the authors, so many of the people that have written books on the Beatles recently have been guests on our show here on Things We Said Today. So if you've enjoyed the shows that we've done with people like Jude Sutherland Kessler and Kid O'Toole and Anthony Robustelli
and Chuck Gunderson,
Chuck Gunderson, Candy Leonard, they're all guests at the fest. So come on down.
Yes, come down. Thanks for the plug, Ken.
Sure.
And thank you, guys. And
thank you, Mark.
It's been fun. Okay, Steve. Good to hear from you. It's good seeing you 2 years ago in person.
Yes. Come back out to Los Angeles. I hope.
We'll call you.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Take care. Good night.
All right. Good night, Mark.
Bye, guys.
Feel better.
Right. Thanks. But this has been a great conversation. And before we go, Steve, want to give us our contact information?
You can get to us at Things We Said Today Radio Show at gmail.com. We're also on Twitter, Things We Said Fab. We're on Facebook. There's a group page and a radio station page. And you can also get to all of us through our own individual Facebook pages. But to contact the group, if you want to send a comment, a show comment, the best thing to do is send it to Things We Said Today Radio Show at gmail.com, and we will definitely look at it and talk about it. And we do read them and we do pay attention to them. So we would love to hear from you.
And Ken, I'm sure you have some prizes that you're going to be giving out on your website and through every little thing.
Well, on my website every single week I have a trivia question or a Beatle game, which starts every Monday and ends every Sunday. And I have a choice of one of 9 prizes every single week. And it could range from everything from the Beatles 1 CD and DVD to the recent McCartney remasters for Tug of War and Pipes of Peace. And I also have now the first Jude Sutherland Kessler book, should have been there, which is a choice of the 9 prizes. So visit the website there for that, and also special contests and interviews with lots of people in the Beatle world, including the very same people that are part of this show. You could hear me interview them. That's a change of pace right there. So, that's at kenmichaelsradio.com.
Okay. And Alan, anything you need to let people know about?
No, not particularly. There's always my book, The Beatles from the Cavern to the Rooftop, published by Phaidon Press, still available. But otherwise, no. Not really.
Okay, and I'll just say that I will be at the Fest for the New York area Fest for Beatles fans, along with Ken. In fact, as things stand right now, on Sunday afternoon, we're going to have a little Things We Said Today panel. Unfortunately, Steve and Alan can't be there, but so we're going to use our friends Tom Frangione and Darren DeVivo as sort of pinch hitters, and so that should be very interesting.
Yeah.
Can I interject with one
Please.
little piece of news that happened today that you guys may not even be aware of? Apparently, Paul McCartney put out 300 limited edition vinyl remixes of 1985 in the UK only. They are now gone. They've been bought up. One of the people who bought them up, not surprisingly, was our friend Bob Gannon. But anyway, There's a story about it online, and I'm going to actually be writing as soon as we get off the air about it. It looks like it has probably something to do with the weird little 6-second video that he posted online this morning. Did you guys see that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, take a look on the McCartney. I wrote about it this morning. There's a 6-second McCartney video. It's like a sound collage, and it's definitely sounds like an older song. It doesn't sound like 1985 to me, but something's going on. McCartney's up to something, and I'm sure we're going to be finding out. And it's probably something to do with his older solo songs, which I know will make Mr. Michaels very, very happy. But exactly what we don't know. So there you go. By the time this comes out, you probably all will know. But we will see. We will see.
Presumably so. Absolutely.
Maybe we'll do a whole show on the remix of 1985.
Who knows?
And be with us next week for we can't say who, but we may have a special guest with us next week, folks.
Yes, I believe if the creek don't rise and the lords of Skype are cooperating, we will have another special guest who also will be involved with the Fest for Beatles fans.
Mm-hmm.
But the clock has got us, so we need to wrap it up. So for Steve Marinucci and Alan Kozin and Ken Michaels, this is Al Sussman, and thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.